Hi, hello, we're live. It's Monday, it's a new day. We need music. There we have it. I hope your weekend was great and the start of the week was wonderful for you. And I hope you're all comfy and just ready for a good old session of writing. Now, as I said, as it currently stands on in our title somewhere up there, down there, whatever, we might be finishing one today, and I say that as a might. It's not. This will probably be the last day of us writing the first version in the book, so in that way finishing the version 1.1. And so with that said, probably not going to finish the story, but you know, finish it in a way that I'm going to leave the ending out, right? Because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. I want people to go read it themselves on my website. So we're gonna come to a point and then we're just gonna say cut, and that will be the end of the first draft. And then I recently started working on, I think we might want to do that next time. Let's just talk about that. I started working on the preparations for a book that I will be writing during November. And I think, you know, to have a little bit of a change of scenery, that maybe next stream is going to be that. Are we just repeating one song? There. I don't know what that was about. Right. So, and then of course comes the digitizing and the revisions and the translation. And so definitely not done with Want, but you know, to mix things up, we're gonna mix in some preparations for a book that I will be writing in 1 month during NaNoWriMo National November Writing Month, I think it is. I think it might be British and I'm from Denmark, but I sort of made a promise to a British friend of mine to do that. Anyway, today, Want is on the table. Want is here. Let's start by reading, because I haven't actually touched it since Wednesday last week. So let's start by reading where we were, and then we'll continue. So, okay, maybe we should start down here. Down here, this was the wrong right. They heard the rustling of pine branches, after which a clacking lizard glided back down to the two, enjoying a brief respite for a moment. Gwilfane wasn't far off, his shaggy coat now soaked in the rain. Something that became abundantly clear by the smell as he joined them. And when he did, the wolf gave the other three a most unwelcome shower with a good shake. "Oh, Gwyl!" Carl exclaimed, as if he was able to get more wet. Thank you for that. Maybe someone needs to go back into the shelter and wait." This is supposed to be an and. And wait. There we are. "No, don't send him away," Sanawin said with a laugh. "It's been far too long since I've seen this, good boy. I don't really mind." She proceeded to wrap her arms around the direwolf's neck in an attempt to hug him, not hang him. Wow, okay. That's that was a bit of a reading mistake right there. Let's write that down. Could be a fun little 0005. No. hug, hang, read fail. Tie a wolf's neck in an attempt to hug him. It's a horrible aim. Whoops, oh no. Horrible A in an attempt. And then, I mean, just fix that. It's fine, it's all good. In an attempt to hug him, and even though she was tall for a Fae Folk, Sanawin still had to stand on her toes to make her hands meet. Carl faked a smile as his spiritbound enjoyed the petting and attention. Sana, he finally asked. Yeah, she replied laughing as she was being overwhelmed by Gwylfain's affection. Her own spiritbound had joined in on the licking, and soon the two had managed to get her on her back. Stop it, you two, she screamed, but still couldn't stop laughing. As she finally managed to push the spiritbounds away and get back on her feet, Carl continued. He had a bit of trouble finding the words. I'm sorry that I didn't go to your wedding. I was convinced that I didn't go in order to protect myself, but Carl paused again to make sure he said the right words. I was just being selfish. I know that now. I'm sorry that it took so long to realize. Sometimes my mind is just too focused on one single thing, and I just don't see further than my own treetop. Is that better? We don't know. Also, can we find something better? There's a comment there saying that, asking. And of course I should have said goodbye to you. It's okay now, Sanawin interrupted. I forgive you. Carl felt a relief suddenly coursing through his chest. But I didn't ask for your forgiveness yet. I could feel where you were going. You know how you have a little trouble with words. When you get worked up. And then I said work into Dantlu conversation. I'm not sure what that is about. It's a good comment, me. Well done. Oh, okay, so we have to work that into the Dantlu conversation on the previous pages. Right, that makes sense. Thank you. He didn't get to say much more before he was caught. You can see it. Caught in the arms of his best childhood friend, wrapped tightly. Slowly he returned the hug. I'm so sorry that I hurt you. You must believe that it was the last thing I wanted. I should have said goodbye as well. You really should have, Sanawin basically mumbled, her face dug deep into Carl's shoulder. I just... Stop talking, she said, and so they simply just stood there, in the rain, a rain that finally seemed to hint at clearing up. In the end, the hug was broken up by their spirit bounds, Aegden headbutting Sanawin's leg, and Gwylfain resting his head on top of Carl's. Right, Sanawin said as she withdrew from Carl. That's apparently enough. It was a weird... That's a bit weird. The R here threw me off for some reason. It's apparently enough. She wiped her nose and her damp dark green cloak with a sniffle. Apparently so. Apparently so, it says here. Apparently so. I believe. Apparently. Apparently. So, Carl agreed, faking another smile. He knew it was stupid, but he wouldn't have minded for the hug to go on a little bit longer. Where are you gonna go then? She asked. This is the outskirts of our woods after all. You didn't talk to Dantlu and Creirun? We didn't speak much after the wedding. He just personally sent me and Breo out to patrol this. And so, that is how we're going to get going. But let me just update the chat with a link. Just, you know. Hello everyone, hello El Cuervo. How's it going? Well, we just started, so we haven't actually begun. How was your weekend and Monday? just want to put a chat link in here just in case. Subscribe to join me in writing fantasy. Drink and bell. Let's go. Uh-oh. There. And I'm just gonna pin that. There we are. Okay. Quote says, not bad, a bit messy. Okay. Like, messy in a good way, as like in a good chaos kind of way, or messy in a bad kind of way? I hope it's a good kind of messy. This person is sending me and Dair out to patrol these parts. So yes, so here we are. We are of course finishing the conversation between our main character Carl and Gwyll, his spirit-bound, and his childhood friend who's been madly in love with since forever, Sanawinth, and her spirit-bound Aigden. And now she just revealed that Dandlu, who helped Carl go on his way, and she just revealed that he is the reason why they actually... It wasn't a random chance meeting. So yeah. And here we are. These parts of the woods. So where are we going right now? We are going in the direction that... So these two are reconciling after Carl hurt Sanawinth. Sanawinth is a scout, so she knows these parts of the wood. We're going in the direction that Sanawinth somehow needs to warn Carl about humans in whatever direction. I'm not sure why, but in my mind it's like southeast-ish. I really need to make a map at some point. That's gonna be other live streams. We're gonna be map making on other live streams, and it's gonna be great, fun. But yes. So she's gonna say like, I did find it a little bit strange. A little bit strange. Since humans rarely enter here. But finding you made me realize that might be not be the only reason. Made me realize it wasn't. Wow, wrong word that I erased there. Okay, cool. I know words. Realize encroaching humans. Wasn't the only reason. Dot. Well, that was a bad account. Wasn't. I know I already wrote it, but then I made a fix and then it was super bad. I cannot have that stand. I cannot have this stand. Not in my book that is so pretty. Got my average size mug here of water. I'm tiny. A tiny man. Encroaching. I have a feeling that you might be right. I have a feeling that it might be right. Carl agreed, and for a moment he could have punched. He could have punched Danlu. But in the next, oh, yes, it was in the next. He was happy that his friend had manipulated him. Manipulated sounds so distressing. His played tricks, not really. He did help him. We sort of want him to be like He's happy that his friend had what? Had forced the situation. And then he's gonna say like, but I honestly aren't sure where we're going. We're going the rain sort of kept my mind occupied in trying to just get by with fires and all. With fires and food and all. Animo says, hi Thomas! Hi Animo, hi Sam. My Chrome fucked me. It said you hadn't started. Wow. Stupid Chrome. Should I go for a second and join you? Well, you are most welcome back when you do. But like I mentioned to Dan. Yes, ignore the angry messages received from me. Tier 5. Yeah, you can. I'll never believe that you're angry, Sam. But like I mentioned to Dan, I might seek out the ferals. Or maybe even those humans. That you're all going on about. That you're all going on about. Right. Sounds like you're heading north then. But do be mindful. But do be mindful page done. Page 111. This is of course not page 111 of this single short story. Want here. Our Journeys number 4 started on page 85. And then I have the 3 other first versions, version 1.0.0, here in the rest of the book. Where were we? Sounds like you're heading north then, but do be mindful. But do be mindful of them. They're not a welcoming sort. Sanawinth. Answered. before Carl was done. So I'm talking. So we want here to have a little bit. There's a reason why I wrote them and they're not. So Carl really wants to go see the humans. So he's gonna say like, you guys everyone keeps saying that the humans aren't welcoming, or bad or whatever. But I do think I might need to see them with my own eyes, and then Sanawind will say, no, I was talking about the feral phase. You do not want to engage with the humans at all. Some say they might be at the beginning of the blight. I don't remember if we... it's been so long since we started this. When did we start it? When did we start one? The 8th of July. A couple of months. Though I haven't actually been super... You know, it's been a lot during the... there's been a lot of stuff going on in the summer, so... And I have been doing other fantasy-related stuff in the background. I still haven't gotten down to getting my illuminated letter. It's not good. Anyway, yeah, so Carl is saying... Everyone keeps telling me that but it just makes me more curious. Curious. How bad can humans really be? I think I need to see it with my own. I think me and I think Will and I will, and I need to see them with my own eyes. Humans Sanawind wow, that was horrible. Sanawind. Humans Sanawind responded almost in disbelief. Responded almost in disbelief. I was talking about the ferals. Feral Fae Folk. Feral Faes. Fae Folk. El Caro says, sorry, I was busy buying pizza. What did I miss? Well, I'm just having fun with a little bit with the conversation here. So, they briefly discussed that Danlo, Carl's friend, was who sent Carl out along the shelters, was the one who also forced Sanawinth to go there. So he sort of forced the meeting. And then they're discussing where Carl is going. He mentions again that he might be going to the ferals or the humans. Where Sanawinth says, sounds like you're heading north then, but do be mindful of them. They're not a welcoming sort. And Carl thinks she's talking about humans, but she's talking about the ferals. So this is going to be where Sanawinth warns Carl about humans. Like, and she's gonna... Like you mentioned last time where you said, had the idea of telling Carl, like, she's gonna tell Carl this is not the path for you or something like that, along those lines. We need to allude to there being a conflict between humans here, humans and Fae Folk, and like the destructive powers that humans are. That even the ferals, which are Fae Folks who have combined with their spirit bound into one being instead of two, that even those guys are a better company than humans, basically. And ferals are outcasts of Fae Folk society because they are not, like, they're unstable, they're aggressive, they are almost more beast than Fae Folk, than a person. So that's where we are. But yeah, I thought that was a pretty funny little way of going about it, saying they're not a welcoming sort, where she's talking about the ferals, and Carl thinks he's talking about humans. I return, says Animo. Welcome back. I was talking about the feral Fae Folk. So yeah, we need to I don't know how much I want to talk about the ferals. Like, I don't know how much I want to be explicit about the ferals, and how much I want to like just allude to the fact that they aren't Fae Folk and spirit bound, that they've merged. Because I want to make a 1 minute story about the ferals, where someone merges with his spirit bound or her spirit bound. Oh, well, Guerra, did you finish chapter 2 of your book? Saying I finished the chapter and got really tired of it, so I'm plotting some short stories to let rest a bit. I get that feeling. I think I'm sort of... I have this project, this Journeys project of short stories with 10 different short stories. One for each of the species in my universe. But I can already feel like after 4 now, there's so much background stuff that I need to make for each story that it's not burned out, but I'm getting a little bit tired. I need a new project, so that's why, like I mentioned in the beginning of this live stream, that I'm going to be preparing for a book that I'll be writing in November. Hopefully the whole first draft during November, which is a challenge. It's an actual challenge. It's called NaNoWriMo Challenge, I think. Animo, that's good. I'm going to start writing now. I've decided to start again because I'm too disconnected from it and I need a fresh start. Going to get myself back into my world by writing a version of Concerning Hobbit. Like, what do you mean writing a version of Concerning Hobbit? Like actually giving text to the song? It's which does it have a text? It doesn't have a text, does it? It doesn't have lyrics. The Concerning Hobbits from Lord of the Rings. It's just melody, isn't it? A very expositional opening chapter. Ah, okay. Yeah. Where were we here? I was talking about the feral Fae Folk. Okay, I think I want to go with the elusive approach of leaving ferals as something like it's not explicit what a feral is, but we're gonna say like they might be more beast than fays than Feyans at this point. Some of them is more beast than Feyans. Do we call them outcasts? I was just playing a bit with the settings, showing the people that make Durandal work. Honestly, that's a cool way of going about it with some short stories. Loners? It's not really someone calling someone a loner. I feel like that implies that it's a choice of their own. Whereas they've been shunted from Fae Folk society. They're still in the forest somewhere, but they've been shunted from Fae Folk society. And you know, we tried to establish earlier, like it's a big deal to leave the realm oak. But the point is also to say that there are more beasts, aggressive beasts, but they're still better than humans. Even those we outcasted from our own society because they were aggressive and unstable. Those are better than humans. Fucking humans. I was talking about... Well, it's not so much... Sorry, I guess I wasn't clear. It's not so much what I want to call them. It's more like if I want to say explicitly that they're outcast in my text. I know we can change it later. when we digitize and revise, but it's a good thing to think about. Okay, let's just get something down. Some of them might be more beasts than Faeans. And maybe let's have a little bit of a prayer here. May the Amber Father show they're merged. Okay, so this is actually a word I've been contemplating a lot. Because merge sounds weird. It sounds like, two roads merging together. But it's the best descriptor, I feel, for two, like two spirit bounds have joined their souls. Maybe joined is the thing about joined is that I feel like it's I would like something dramatic as well. A word that screams drama and like fantasy. Fused. So we have in the thesaurus here, we have merge, bring or come together, absorb, blend, combine, maybe, consolidate, fuse, incorporate, join, meld, melded might be good. Blend, fuse, merge, mingle. Grown inside of, yeah. I kind of want one word. Amalgamate. I like amalgamate. That might actually be a good description here. Because amalgamate is these things blended together, right? Let's view definitions of amalgamate. Verb. Used with object, amalgamated. To mix or merge so as to make a combination, blend, unite, combine. Metallurgy. Yeah, like it's something you do with metals, you amalgamate. Let's use it here. I like that. That's a strong word. That's like a dramatic word. They amalgamated. Show their amalgamated spirits mercy. I kind of quite like that actually. May the Amber Fathers show their amalgamated spirits mercy. So then we're alluding to the fact that, I mean, some of them are more beasts, right? Beasts and Faeans, and here we're basically saying here that they've been joined, they've been merged together into one being. but we're not explicitly stating what is going on with the ferals. And I guess we're just not gonna say that they're outcasts. Just, yeah. We can mention it later, maybe. But they're still not humans. That's a path that you never want to take. Actually, let's make a you plural. You. You never want to take. That's a path that you never want to take. Don't need two that's. Do you understand? Why not? Carl asked, hoping to finally get some answers. Finally get some answer. Some answers about these beings which he've never seen. Beings which he and Gwilfane had never seen. Okay, we don't want to be too explicit about what's going on with the Faens and the humans. At least not in these parts. And then we need a derogatory term for humans that Fae Folk would use. I did. Oh my god. I ran a Copenhagen half marathon yesterday, and my legs are just. I can't walk. I can walk, but it's so difficult. Whoa, what are you writing there? Monkey. I was thinking more in a bit more fantasy way. So I brought here my... Is this ultra short stories? But I changed the name to 1 minute stories. Because in Forgotten Dragons, this is of course the short form video fantasy stories that I make to accompany my short stories. We make them from time to time. And they're really fun. They're really short. But Forgotten Dragons, we came up with dragon... a derogatory term for elves that dragons had. Because elves and dragons are mortal enemies in my universe. I'm pretty sure with this story. Better ask follow combat. So casualties of both sides. Well, did they say elves here? Raiders? That wasn't it. I hoped I could show it, but we call them scaleless, you know, because dragons had scales, and the scaleless would then be a derogatory term. So the most obvious one is something about their height. Fae folks are the hobbits, the gnomes of this universe. So having something about height, a word could be also wanted to make what about something like whiffs, you know, because of the low lifespan? Actually, in my world, Faeans don't live that much longer compared to humans. Me when I watch Wonderful Orb. Let's get some Counter-Strike in here. That's a lot of whiffs. Boom. But yes, El Cuervo, something like that is exactly what I'm looking for. Tall ones would be one. But that's a bit... you know. Like, I feel like when I read The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, halfling is sort of a derogatory term for hobbits. Like, sort of, but not really. The humans are taller. Humans are much taller. So the Faeans are the hobbits, to put it into perspective of my world. So they're like to a human to their waist. Yeah. I got nothing then, says Animo, right? It's not like you don't have to have anything. I'm just... I'm happy if you do have suggestions, but I am mostly just talking my own mind and trying to come up with something on my own. I don't know if you guys know what's called rubber ducking in programming. Animo says, wait, I've got it. Oh, you sound very big, massive fuckers. You know what? That is derogatory, but that's sort of not the fantasy feel that I wanted for it. Anyway, what I was saying, there's something in programming, there's something called rubber ducking, which is when your code doesn't work, and you don't know why, which I think happens a lot in programming. A way of going through the code is to talk to a rubber duck or a teddy bear or something, and as if you were talking to a real person, and then you go through the code saying out loud what it should be doing to this rubber duck. And in doing so, you often actually get to realize your own mistake in the code, because you are explicitly saying what's supposed to happen. That's sort of what I'm doing right now, or like when I write in general on this live stream. I'm very happy whenever you guys come with suggestions. I love that you're engaged in it, and please keep making them. But I'm also just speaking my own mind to sort of rubber ducky myself into a solution. You know what? That's gonna be a short form clip. I can feel it. That's around 56. Rubber ducking. Yay, I always wanted to be a rubber duck. Well, it's your lucky day, El Cuervo. Indeed, it is your lucky day. You know what? I have my little scribbles notebook that I write ideas in when I don't have access to a PC. So we're just gonna say universe up here, and then I'm gonna write down derogatory terms. Faeans to humans. Because I feel like if I don't write them down when we say it, I just keep circling back to, for example, tall ones, tallings, tall ones, tallings. This one as well, tallings. Not a good one, but I'm not saying these are going to be good or these are what we want, but just the act of writing them down, I feel like that makes it so we don't keep circling back to it. Now, the little coding I did. Q-Limp. Hello, welcome to the stream. The little coding I did, I had a bunch of echo. Your princess is in another castle until the problem was found. Did you rubber ducky in how to find the problem? So yeah, here we have tall ones, tallings, and of course humans are destroying the forests. That's sort of the core to the conflict, right? Between the Fae Folk, the forest creatures of the Fae Folk, and then the humans. So we have whiffs here as well. Could say destructors. That sounds weird and sounds like it. Yeah, it's definitely not gonna be that, but just to write it down. I also do this with name. I guess you guys saw it last time, but we do this with naming as well. I do this with naming, like write a bunch of words that I think could be a good name, and then I sort of zero in on what I actually want the characters to be called. And I feel like for this method, there's no good or bad things. I just need to get something down, so yeah, like so we don't keep circling back to it. Destructors. It's really bad. I kind of want... I want Sanawinth to say like... to say that they are the blight. Some like she'll explain that some say the humans are the blight, the beginning of the blight. Where the blight in the Great Cycle religion, which is Fae Folk's religion, the blight is the Doomsday prophecy. It's the rot of the world, the rot of the Umber Mother. Blightos. But I want her to explain that first. Blightlings. That just sounds a bit cute though. Yeah, we don't need it to be cute. Really I like the whiffs, like in, not necessarily the meaning of the word whiff, but you know, something like whiff. Could also be blights. But maybe we want 2 derogatory terms then. Great Cycle. Blightors, Blightlings, Blights. Holsters. Nope. That ain't it. But you're gonna write it down anyway. Long ones. Long ones. Yeah, it's also pretty bad. Something like towering. That's not bad, El Cuervo. Towering, yes. Towering ones. Well, I just added ones just to have something. But yes, something like that. Something tall in nature that's bad. What do we have there? Tall things in nature. Tall, terrible things in nature. Oh. Yes, indeed. Theory that mountains are trees. Wonderful. Tall and terrible. Giant hawkweed, says Gemini. Giant hawkweed. How big are giant hawkweed? It's actually pretty big. Wow. Mount Everest, volcanoes, extreme weather, tornadoes, deep canyons, trenches. Yeah. Yeah, Sequoia boys. But I feel like they won't use trees. Fae folk wouldn't use trees in a derogatory way, right? Ugly side of nature. What if we call them spikes? Spikes. They're hurting. They can be big. That ain't it either. Towering ones is... So far, towering ones is the best one. Maybe if we search for infesting things in nature, pests. Well, you know, there are, we could say, they could call them pests. It has nothing to do with tall, but infesting ones, or infestors. It's not gonna be that, but I'm still writing it down. Could say call them towering pests. Towering. But I kind of would like just to have a single word. Could just be called towers, of course. Animo says, okay, I'm moving on. I remember that the last draft had a very cool opening, and this thing I'm writing would sacrifice that, and I don't wish to do so. You know what? Sometimes that's actually, yeah, that's a cool realization. When sometimes you just have to try something different, right? And then you realize, this thing I had could actually work better or something like that. But yeah, sometimes you just have to go with something different. We might call them towering pests. Those towering pests. That's not bad. What if we plotted in tower in Thesaurus? Very high building. Belfry. Belfry. What's the belfry? It's a bell tower where bells are hung. Well, okay. That wasn't what we were looking for. Rise above. Overlook. Overtop. Soar. Look down. The downlookers. Okay, that might... The downlookers. That might be something. Well, it's not like we just have to have the one, right? We just don't just have to have the one derogatory term. If you really hate someone else, you'll find a plethora of different derogatory terms to describe them. The upwaters. Yes, something like that. Upwaters. I do quite... So, the downlookers... Oops. It's not what I wanted, that one. The downlookers... That also tells, like... Let's say something about how the Faeans, like... Their feelings towards them, right? I mean, so does the pest one. Towering. I might go with all of them, with the towering pests and the downlookers and the blights. Blights up there. No, maybe, yeah. We might go with that. To Animo, to your suggestion, downlookers almost sounds like big fuckers, big massive fuckers. So you know, it was a collaborative effort from this stream, this chat. Thank you guys. But yeah, she might call them everything, every single thing. I think we're gonna go with downlookers, at least. And then she's gonna say something about how some say that it blights. At least, I think we might call them all three things: downlookers, towering pests or towering ones, and blights. That's also like really seals how Fae Folk in general feel about humans. We're just gonna note that down. I'm sure I can edit all of that down into a short form video. Finding derogatory terms for humans. I knew I had something there, says Animo. Yes, you did. You also call yourself, man, I'm fucking tired, but you know, you had something somewhere. Okay. These beings. Needs an S down there. On there. Which Yank welfare had never seen. Okay, so that totally took me out of what was a good bit of momentum in the writing. Ah, my foot is itchy for some reason. Humans, everyone keeps telling me that. Just makes me more curious. How bad can humans really be? I think Will and I need to see them with our own eyes. With my own eyes, with our own eyes. With our own eyes. Humans, Sanawinth responded almost in disbelief. I was talking about the feral Fae Folk. Some of them might be more beasts than Faeans. May the Amber Fathers show their amalgamated spirits mercy. They're still not humans. That's a path you never want to take, do you understand? Why not? Carl asked, hoping to finally get some answers about these beings, which he and Gwilfane had never seen. Oh. Great job the first time we're writing downlookers. The downlookers are... I don't even want to get into them. But let's just say that those towering pests those towering pests are bad news? No. Those towering pests. Towering pests are never getting past. So they're standing next to the totem, right? The K is the can. The warning can. I guess we could say how Sanawith almost is getting angry. She's like sputtering. So we don't actually. I feel like I might have written myself into like a corner from what I want to say here. So instead of writing it, we're just gonna end her talking. Sanawind. Sanawind was suddenly almost sputtering angry. Between her creative ways of describing the humans. Carl was unsure of what to do. But luckily he didn't have to wait long. Luckily he didn't have to wait long. As Sanawind took a deep breath. Took a deep breath. What the hell? My pen caught a tiny feather. A tiny, not a feather. A tiny hair. Where on earth did that come from? Took a deep breath. You know how some say that they are the heralds. Ooh, that's a good fantasy word, heralds, right? That's something that screams fantasy. That humans are the heralds of the blight. Of the blight. I don't remember if we mentioned the blight before. It's not that, but I'm not gonna go more explicitly into what the blight is. At least not right now. That's gonna be one of those things that's like, you know, a bit of mystique to expand the world a bit, to make it more interesting. That's one of the downsides about writing things in by hand, the first draft, because I mean, if we did it digitally, we of course could just search for blight in the text. And then we would have it. Especially, like, I guess that's the problem with that we're also spending 2-3 months on this. Yes. I wouldn't trust anything. So Carl knows about this. Someone is saying that the herald of the blight. The blight, of course, as I mentioned, being the doomsday prophecy. The girl says, "I'm gonna have dinner. I'll be back later, maybe." All right. Well, great to have you here, Querwell. I'm gonna be here like an hour, 1.5 hours more. So you are most welcome back, and have a nice dinner. I wouldn't trust Yeah, we're gonna get a bit of the disdain that Carl and Gwilfane have for the Elder Druid, who didn't ascend him to Druidism. Dwerith, I believe was his name. That's Elder Druid Dwerith, his spirit-bound griff. I wouldn't trust that Dwerith. On anything regarding the Great Cycle. Carl said with visible disdain. Good thing we're not at the Realm Oak. Someone might have heard you someone might have heard you discussing. No, not discussing. Actually, not. No, not might have heard you. Might think. You might think you. Something about less favorable. How do you say that? Where did we start? There, okay. I just need to see how much we've written. Someone might think you you spoke ill of our most venerable Elder Druid. The one so Elder Druid Dwerith is of course the one but now he is the one doing the what did I call it? The rite of, not rite of spirit, but he's like the one in charge of the ritual of spirit binding. Just the rite of binding. Sorry, I'm looking on this. View comments, hide comments. We have the rite of amber. That's the death ritual, the death ceremony. I think it's just rite of binding. Yeah, we're just gonna mention that without stating what it is. I'm just gonna mention it, you know? Create that mystique, that mysticism. Just like it's just the most natural thing in the world to sort of suddenly say the one performing our rite of binding at that. Wow, that was a terrible, terrible question mark. He might have done that right for a long time. But when it comes to anything else, when it comes to anything else, he's clueless. Do they say clueless in a fantasy world? Sure, they would. Yeah, they would. Heralds of the Blight. How would that come about? When we're only in the second age, and the Blight won't be here until the 4th. Cal asked with passion. Passion or anger, or both. Um, So yeah, talking about the blight and the ages, the second age, the fourth. I mean, creating mysticism in fantasy, right? Is just, I think it's so valuable. It creates so much intrigue, and it just shows that it's a world that has existed for a long time. So I'm playing Hollow Knight Silksong right now, and as everyone else is, of course. And if you're not, what are you doing? No. And I'm getting my ass handed to me repeatedly. Specifically right now on the Savage Beastfly. But anyway, Hollow Knight Silksong. Hollow Knight did this as well, almost a little too much to a degree. MMO playing Counter-Strike like a real gamer. You know what? Play Counter-Strike to try something easy when we get too frustrated with Silksong. That's the way to go. Level 10 grind will never cease. Anyway, Hollow Knight and Hollow Knight Silksong, they're so good at creating this mystical world. You just see glimpses of dreams, of prophecies, of the story, like, and then as you progress through it, you see more and more, and you can sort of piece it together. I do think Hollow Knight was a little bit too, like, I could spend hours on Hollow Knight's wiki because it's so vast, their background lore, and maybe the lore itself in the game was a little too scattered. But as I'm playing through Silksong right now, there's just so many cool tidbits of prophecies and all that. It just creates such an atmosphere that's so intriguing, and it's bloody hard. It's so difficult, but I want to know more about the universe. I want to know more about the world it's set in and what happened to it and what's going on. So that's sort of what I'm trying to do as well, with just, casually mentioning Blight, the Second Age, religion, and so on. Also, I just wanted to plug Hollow Knight Silksong and say that you should all try it out. Hollow Knight Silksong. mystique. And be prepared for a challenge. And then colors with the passion or anger, or both. Or both. He really did a number to you, didn't he? Did a number to you, didn't he? Sarah asked. Not just me. You know what he did. Did to Druid Weaklin. And near here. This is an N. Here. Okay, we want to end the conversation now. We want to move on. There are more things to do, and this conversation has been going on since since 104, page 104. And I did say I didn't want it to be as nearly as long as Standlu and Carl's conversation, which I think was almost 15 of these written pages, these bad boys. I've got an eye up there, visible. I know, Sanawinth said. Sanawinth. Let's not dwell on it. Just promise me that you two won't seek out the humans to the south. Okay, that was page 111 done. Page 112 coming up. Carl looked at Gwilfane. who responded with a curious look. We won't. He finally said, there's also the option of traveling along the routes to see the other. I don't know why that O was capitalized. The other realm trees. Dun dun dun. Yes, there are indeed more realm trees in this world. There's not just the realm oak. Good. That sounds good. Actually, realm trees before heading back. So like just, you know, saying here that it is Carl and Gwylfain's intention to get back to the Realm Oak at some point, though he doesn't know when. And this is gonna be the end of the conversation, I think. Well, it's not gonna stop here. He's gonna say like, Samuel is gonna say like, good, sounds good. I should probably learn you some survival skills then, so you don't die before getting back. So the next time we meet won't be in the amber sleep or something like that. Yeah. Yes, let's go with that. I should probably teach you and grill some survival skills. Survival skills then. Because if you guys continue like this, she pointed at the sad pile of wet branches. That they had hoped would become a fire. No, in the fire pit. Fireplace, fire pit. It's not. Yeah, maybe fire pit. In the fire pit. You won't get far. And I would like to make sure, that you two end up in the amber sleep when the time comes. And I'm sure you would too. And I'm sure you would too. So yeah, I know it sounds like she's saying so what she's saying here is make sure that they end up in the amber sleep. It is the Fae Folk's belief, of course, that they can only enter the amber sleep, which is the realm of death, where you get reincarnated into a spirit bound through the realm oaks or through the realm trees. And so what she's actually saying here is that she wants to make sure that he doesn't die on his own, like in the wild, so on his own terms. She wants to make sure that he has a traditional Fae Folk death, which is the ritual, the rite of amber, as we wrote about in the beginning of this short story. Sanawind through a koi. Yeah. Koi smile at them. Thank you. I think it's most needed. Gwilfane, Carl said. With Gwilfane chiming in. Chiming in. Howling. I don't know if that sentence sort of makes sense, chiming in howling, but maybe? Great. That's G, it's supposed to be a G. Great. We'll start by building a fire in the rain. In the rain. And when Breo gets here, we'll have a nice dinner. And then tomorrow we'll make sure to show you to the rest. So yeah, that's gonna be. We're gonna have Carl. He's gonna still. You know, he was trying to get away from Sanawind and the fact that she was getting married. So his stomach is still gonna, like, he's not over her, of course. He apologized and the two have reconciled now. But he's not over her. See something. sorry, I just had to check something. Carl's stomach turned a little at the mention of Sanawin's husband. Hey, I'm back, says El Cuervo. Welcome back, El Cuervo. We are basically finally ending the conversation between Sanawind and Carl. I hope you had a nice dinner. Sanawind's husband. But he still managed to put on a brave face and fake smile. Fake smile. As he thanked his childhood friend once more. Thanked his childhood friend once more, and I think I just need to see how do we do the. We just have a single asterisk. Where did we go? So like in the okay. I just want to, it just want it to be like the same throughout the entire book. So it's just a asterisk there, and then straight down to the next line. I use asterisk to show a jump in time. So now with that conversation over, that part of the short story, we are moving on to the ending of Now, I'm not finishing the live stream just yet, but I am going to talk a little bit about Dan Harmon's story circle, which we of course are using as a skeleton for our story. If you don't know, Dan Harmon's story circle is a revised hero's journey. Dan Harmon is the one who made Rick and Morty. So he has this story circle of a good episode, of a good story that we've been following. He has the view, establishing the protagonist, need, something isn't right, go, crossing the threshold. This is where we've been with Sanawind, not chapter, but part of the story. And then we need to go into search, road of trials, then with which will then lead into find meeting the goddess. Like, you should. I'm not gonna discuss a whole lot about the story circle, but because I know I've done that in another live stream. But you should totally. It makes a whole lot of sense. It really makes you think about the story, how you build a story. And it's fun. It's fun doing this like having some sort of structure, trying to follow some sort of structure. But you don't. I don't have to like follow it precisely. Also, this is of course made for a TV show. But it's still, some of the reasons are still applicable. So, crossing the threshold was what we just had. Carl and Gwilfane has quite literally crushed the threshold of the realm oak into an unfamiliar situation of being completely on their own for the first time. They aren't doing so well, which has also affected their moods, as if Carl's getting worse. Sanderwind and the Spiritbound finds the pair and confronts Carl about how he could leave without as much as saying goodbye. Carl apologizes for his actions and tries to explain them, accepts what Carl is telling her, and they say their goodbyes. Sanderwind and the Spiritbound leaves with Carl and Gwilfane, the latter staying where they are, with the warning that humans is near. So we changed a little bit. This was something I made before I started Wand. I started writing Wand. So we changed that up a little bit. Now we go into the search part of that Harmon Story Circle. We're going into the chaos. And what have we written here? We have written... Oh, it's exciting. That was actually wrong. There we are. Jump ahead in time by a couple of months. Carl and Gwilfane have spent time battling humans who has been hunting animals and destroying the forest. Not by engaging in combat, but by sabotage and taking advantage of superstition and fear. The humans have been referring to them as ghosts of the forest, but both due to them not actually finding Carl and Gwilfane, but also because of their white appearances for the glimpses that have been seen. So of course this is Carl's head and Gwilfane's fur. The pair has been getting by alright on their own, but still haven't found what they were looking for. They're in the middle of saving a white stag from humans, from human trappers. This is what a reveal of the next step of the story, right? The road of trial. So now Carl and Gwilfane are really living on their own. They're outside the last stone cairn of the realm oak. So I want to say that they have... I want to tell now that they have been to the ferals. They actually heeded Sanderwind's warning for a while at least. So they did go to the ferals. They did go north of where they were before. But it wasn't a success. So we need to say like... I can't remember if we said in the... That was wrong story. In the conversation with Dandlu. In the conversation with Dandlu that Carl has an uncle who is feral. And that's sort of the reason why he wanted to find them. But we need to mention it here at least. And so, since that didn't go so well, they are now and has been spending some time. So we're in the summer now, basically. We started in the winter, then we went to like early spring, and now we're in the summer, maybe late summer. Carl and Gwilfane has been traveling quite a bit. But yeah, they have had time to find the ferals up north in this forest, and then go down south to... Of course, we don't have a map. I really do need to make maps. Yeah. They have been by the humans. They've seen what humans are capable of, and they decided we need to do something about that. So they're in the middle of saving this white stag from trappers. Fun fact about that. In Celtic culture, or Celtic symbolism, a white stag Celtic mythology. I don't remember where I saw that. So the white stag symbolizes change, herald of change. Thanks, Gemini. A white stag could be a sign of profound change to come in the lives of those who encounter it. So that's a little bit of the reason why this is a white stag, because change is going to happen to our dear boy Carl and his spirit-bound Gwilfane. But we just need to make sure that we know how to start this section. So the first section, the very start of Want was Druid Wieglin and Nearhir's Rite of Amber, so they were dying. That's how we started the story. And then we started the next section, the one with Sanawind, with saying that the rain came flowing down as Carl came back with whatever firewood he could find and hoped to somehow ignite. So he was walking around the stone cairn in the shelter, examining the big stone cairn. Is this down here? Maybe we need to... So he was, of course... He promised Sanawind that he wouldn't seek out the humans. And so that might be a good lead in to this section, like... He should have listened to her. Yeah, that might be a good one. That might be an interesting way of starting the section. And I think we're gonna have Carl think it. So you guys are going to see some wonderful cursive. Yeah. I should have listened to you. Oh my god, it's so long since I've written cursive. Should have listened to you. Some oh, not Carl. Not Gwilfane. Carl thought as he started to cut the ropes freeing the great white stag. Trapped inside, trapped by them. I think that's a pretty good way of starting this section. So we sort of immediately see that that he went back on his promise. Now we just need to tell that it is summer. Stag trapped by them. Just want to say, let's say here, don't worry. Don't worry, my friend. Carl tried to calm the majestic creature. Exhausted from trying to get out on its own. So it's trying to get out on its own. You'll be free to roam again in just a minute. Again, in the blink of an eye, in the blink of an eye. In the blink of an eye. So we also need to convey that it is summer now, and we need to do that rather fast. Of course, we've used the asterisk so to signify that there is a time skip going on, but No, I don't want to say humans now. I think we want to establish the summer thing. So we would say something like... What would we say? Something like... the heat of the beaming suns of the... It's not just the suns. On the suns. Made his palms sweaty. His palms sweaty as he cut through the ropes. I don't know if we want to say ropes here again. Actually, we already set it up here. It just sounds a bit iffy, doesn't it? Like repeating myself. Yeah, let's have a comment there. Something. Another description for ropes. Another description. Question mark. That's a question mark. Everyone can see that. He could still hear Gwilfane. He could still hear Gwilfane howling and chasing the trappers. Through the green lush forest. And the lush forest now we're giving him more determination. Determination. Give him more determination. To free the stack. Oof, this is a T. It just looked an awful lot like my Fs. And I don't give a F about that. So yeah, we established now that it's summer, right? That's good. Humans really were a blight. Maybe not the heralds of something greater and more terrible. and more terrible. Something greater and more terrible. But he and Will Fane had already seen enough of their destructive ways. To know that the things they had heard were all true. So I guess we wanna have a little bit of not a flashback, but you know, him thinking that maybe they should have maybe it's just like maybe they should have stayed at the ferals even though it didn't go well. So we need to we say that, okay, they did go and find the ferals, they did find Carl's uncle, but they didn't accept them. Yeah, that's a good way of going through it. Because so this is going to be like a thought. I'm not gonna cursive it, but it's still gonna be like Carl's thoughts without, and then we don't state explicitly Carl went to the ferals, but he had to leave because they wouldn't agree on him. I don't know. Maybe they should have stayed at the ferals. So I guess we might sort of be a little bit repeating ourselves from what Sanawent said or warned him about, but I think that's all right. By the way, when did we start this? Was it 84? 85? And this is 30, so we're coming up to 30 pages. Is it really going to be longer than Fly? Fly was 34. 7 pages left. It's gonna be tight. It's gonna be close. And we've done 2.5 hours now for live stream tonight. I want to finish page 112. and then we probably call it a night. Maybe they should have stayed at the ferals. Tried to stand their ground and earn the outcasts. Yeah, here, okay. So this feels more natural to call the ferals outcasts, and the outcasts respect. When Carl and Gwilfane had finally managed to track down his uncle, and his group, his band, his company, crowd, gang. Maybe band. And his band. Of animalistic Fae Folk. And no, just Fae Folk. They had initially been relieved Things changed quickly, however. Carl's uncle had been difficult. There it is. The end of page 112. Going right to 113. I want to say to communicate with here. No. Like to, open to interpretation. They don't talk, they don't speak. His feral oh my god. Communicate with and both Carl and Gwilfane had soon learned just how aggressive some of... Oh my god, I suddenly lost the ability to write correctly. How aggressive some of the ferals could be. Those were the animal spirit bound had been the dominating one. But at least the ferals were only aggressive towards intruders. And not everything else. Like the hume. The hum. And with that, I will end the live stream on a non-finished word, of course, so it is much easier to pick up and get going next time. Like I said, I think this will be the last of live streams where I write the draft. Goodbye, Sam. Goodbye, Animo. See you later. Check your messages shortly. I will do that. Thank you very much. I am ending the live stream, of course. But like I said, this will probably be the last of the this first version of Wand that we write. Then next time we're gonna start up on a book, the preparations for a book, and then we'll go into the digitizing, because I'm about to write the actual end to the story, and that's something I don't want to spoil. I want people to read it themselves for the first time in its more or less finished form. So yeah, I will send you something, says Animo. Thank you. So I will be waiting for your message then. It's gonna be good, I'm sure. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, for joining, for messaging, for chatting. Hopefully having fun. I had fun. And yeah, remember to like and subscribe if you thought this was a fun live stream and you haven't already. And then, with the words of we write our own stories, I'm saying goodbye. Bye!